Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's head-to-head comparison, let's take a look at the 2025 Toyota Tundra TRD PRO and the 2025 GMC Sierra AT4X. I borrowed the Sierra from Randy Marion GMC, so take a look at their website. That link is down in the description below, along with taking a look at the full detailed reviews that I've made on both of these trucks. So let's start off with the MSRPs. For the Toyota Tundra, the TRD PRO starts around $73,000, and for the GMC, you can get the AT4 or the AT4X. So both of those are going to be below or above pricing for the Pro, starting around $66,000 and going up to $80,000. So the Pro sits right in the middle of the AT4 and the AT4X. Now in terms of what powers both of these, for the AT4, you can get the 3-liter turbo diesel or the 6.2-liter V8, which this truck is equipped with. Comes with a 10-speed automatic, and the V8 pumps out 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque. For the Tundra, the Pro only gets the hybrid, which is the 3.4-liter twin-turbo V6, paired to a 10-speed as well, and it pumps out 437 horsepower, 583 pound-feet of torque. Now both of these trucks are primarily rear-wheel drive. They do offer the 4-wheel drive systems. You'll expect 0 to 60 for the TRD PRO to be right around 6 seconds and 6 seconds for the AT4X, and that will depend, of course, on the engine that you go with. And then as far as ground clearance goes, the TRD PRO is right at 9 inches versus closer to 10.7 inches for the GMC. And then these are both full-size trucks with really good towing capabilities, right around 11,000 pounds for the Pro and closer to 13,000 pounds with the V8. If you opt for the turbo diesel, it's going to be closer to 8,800 pounds. So very similar for both of these trucks. Now it is worth noting you can get a non-hybrid for the Toyota, but the Pro only comes with the hybrid engine. Now as we work our way to the exterior styling, you'll notice a forward-facing camera, very large grille with some nice trim accents. This AEV has a steel front bumper. There's also fog lights down below, all the parking sensors, LEDs for the lighting there, and then you'll notice underneath there's a skid plate too. And with that high clearance design, you can see a lot of that front tire. And then there's very nice bulges that come down the hood. Now as we work our way to the Tundra, you'll notice another very large grille for up front. With the Pro, you get the light bar, forward-facing camera, there's fog lights, parking sensors, no steel bumper options for the Tundra. So this is the front end that you will get. However, you do get a steel skid plate up underneath, and you can see a little bit of a high clearance design, but you can definitely get more ground clearance up front with the GMC. And then you have some nice bulges coming down both sides of that hood. Now for the fender flares, you'll notice this camo design. This truck also has the TRD tuned suspension with that 1-inch lift. There's also the TRD wheels. And then you have a more slim set for the GMC for the fender flares. And then you'll notice really nice wheel design, all-terrain tires. And then this truck also has a small lift as well. Now the side mirrors are going to be very similar. Neither of these trucks have the larger tow mirrors, but that is an option that you can go with. You have the camera and the turn signal, same thing, camera and the turn signal. And then as we take a step back, you can see just how large these trucks are. We have some different lines in the lower sections, but overall, kind of a similar shape. You know, a full-size truck is going to have very similar lines in a design for both of those cabs there. And then you'll notice as we work our way to the back, so you can actually release this upper section where you have this workbench. You can flip up this panel too. So if you have some items that are a little bit longer than the tailgate itself, you have a new tailgate that you can set up. And then you can also open the entire tailgate there, and you have the step. So now you can get better access to the interior. This truck also has the optional kicker tailgate system, so you can play music while you're at the back of this truck. And you do need 2 hands in order to close that and then easily lift it back up. Now this has gloss black for that bumper. With the V8, it can tow that 13,000 pounds like I mentioned. And there's also some steps in the bumper, so that way you can easily enter and exit the tailgate if you're not going from that step there. And then it has LEDs for the lighting. And then we can take a quick look at the rear suspension, where this features that Multimatic suspension system, so it's going to give you a very nice ride. Now as we work our way to the Pro, you'll notice TRD PRO stamped in the tailgate. This tailgate is one solid piece. You do have a few different ways that you can open it up because it is power operating, which is nice, but there's no step. Toyota hasn't come up with a step like some of the other brands and companies, so it's still very nice to use. You'll notice more camo on the bumper, the hitch down below, and then the dual exit exhaust over on that driver's side, and LEDs for all of the lighting. Now let's work our way to the back seats, where these full-size trucks are going to have a lot of space. The interiors will vary slightly, just depending on how you spec it, but as you can tell, really nice interior for this model. You do have storage that you can gain access to, and you can also lift up the seats. So you have plenty of storage underneath where you can place in additional items, and you have grab handles too, so that helps you enter. Now this truck has cup holders, heated seats, vents, and auxiliaries. I have plenty of space for my legs and 4 inches of headroom. There's an Alcantara headliner for this particular model too. So definitely plenty of space for 3 people to be in the back. And then you have more storage, an armrest, and that sliding rear glass window. Now, as we work our way to the Tundra, this interior is basically going to be similar since you can't quite spec it as much as the GMC. And then you really only have one design for these seats too. Now, it is worth noting you can lift up the bottoms of these seats, but since this is standard with the hybrid, you don't get storage, but you might have a little bit better access to placing some items if that cushion is in the way. Now, as we hop into the back, you have cup holders, storage, auxiliaries, vents. These are not heated rear seats, and they don't have quite as much headroom, probably half as much, so around 2 inches or so, but it's still very spacious in the back. Now, you also have an armrest with cup holders, and then the whole glass rolls down. So unlike pretty much any other full-size truck, Toyota is the only company that is doing that for this and the 4Runner. So those are the 2 models with that design. Now, since I have the full reviews, I'll go through this fairly quickly. Memory seating adjustments, power folding side mirrors, and then you have a lot of storage down below. Automatic seats with TRD Pro up top, and then you get grab handles for your front passengers too. So let's start this up where you have a really nice TRD steering wheel. This comes with adaptive cruise, which is nice. You have some audio adjustments, and then on the left side, you can go through your Bluetooth voice commands and then some information in the gauge cluster. So you can cycle through some info on this left side here, and the rest of the info is going to be fixed. Now, you can customize the gauge cluster right in the middle, so the tach and your miles per hour. Just by going into some of these settings here, you can customize the right side too with some information. So you have a little bit of things you can go through, but not too many things. But it's still nice, it gives you a good bit. Now, you have the light bar, heated steering wheel, there's a power outlet in the bed, you have dimmer switches, fuel cap release, automatic headlights, and then 1 air vent. You do get a little bit of storage up top, and then a very large infotainment system. Now, it is pretty basic. It's really helpful to be able to pair your phone to this system, however, but you have some info that you can go through and just customize this as needed. Now, you have heated and ventilated seats. All the climate adjustments are laid out very nicely. You even have rear adjustments, so you can turn those on and off. And then underneath that, trailer backup assistance with trailer braking system. You do have the 360 camera system, so you can go through quite a lot of angles in park as well as in drive or reverse. So you can bring all of these up, even an off-road split design, which is neat to see. Now, there's traction control, a locking rear diff. You can open and close the tailgate from inside. There's wireless charging along with storage and cup holders, auto hold, and the e-brake. There's the 4-wheel drive selector. You do have 3 on-road modes, which is nice to see. And then tow and haul, multi-terrain select, downhill assist, and crawl control. So you have a lot of off-roading technology with this Pro. You do have a good bit of storage space for this center armrest area, and then the locking glove box, and then a digital rear view mirror. There's garage door buttons as well, and then all the settings to adjust that camera system. Sunglass holder up top, and then there's all the controls for the sunshade, sunroof, and that rear window. And then, as you can tell, there's a lot of glass for this truck. So you really don't have any blind spots. That's going to be very similar on the GMC, as well as other pickup trucks as well. And so as we take a look at the interior, this also gets memory seating adjustments, power folding side mirrors, and then storage in the lower section, and a set of power operating front seats with AT4X up top. And then you also get grab handles for up front. Now, this steering wheel is a little bit more simple, still finished off in leather, however. You get paddle shifters for the GMC, along with some adjustments underneath it. So you have power or tuning and volume there. Now, this also has cruise and distance pacing, heated steering wheel controls on the steering wheel, And then on the right side, you have your voice commands and then adjustments to go through this information. So very similar to the Toyota. However, I think you do get a lot more vitals that you can scroll through and access. So it's nice that you can go through all of this, and you have a lot more adjustments with how you would like the gauge cluster to be laid out, as well as info on the left, the right, and the lower section of the screen. So you can customize it a little bit more and even get into the head-up display. So you do have more tech for this model. Now there's a 4-wheel drive selector along with a trailering system, and you do have some on-road and off-road settings that you can toggle using that dial right there. Now there's all the headlight adjustments. You have the cargo light in the bed, dimmer switches, and the e-brake, even the head-up display information. So you can go through a few different settings depending on the info that you would like to see. Now this model has Alcantara for the headliner, leather on the dash. You have some more vents in the dash. And then with the infotainment system, you can go through quite a lot of vitals here. You have the home screen, which we are on. You can also get into music. There's navigation, so you can pull up your map, get into your phone. There's even a trailering shortcut, and you can customize those as needed. So you have a good bit to go through. Now underneath that, all of the climates where you have heated and ventilated seats, temperature, fan speed, where you like the air to go, and then a lot of toggles down below for your lane keeping assist, parking sensors, engine start stop. You can put the tailgate down. I don't think you can put it back up, however. You have traction control, a downhill assist, and then you can do the rear locker or the front and the rear. Now, since the Tundra doesn't have a front locker, that's where crawl control comes into play. So just two different systems that are going to act in a similar way, if you want to say. Now you have a lot of storage and cup holders, and then there's a trailer braking system. Now you don't have a control to pull up the camera system down below, but you can easily put it into reverse or drive and pull up all of these angles. So you have pretty similar angles as you saw in the Tundra. Some of these are the same that I just didn't show. So you have quite a lot, which is nice. And then you do get wireless charging. There's a lot of storage in the armrest, and then you get 2 glove boxes for the GMC, which is neat to see. Now up top, you do have that digital camera system with garage door buttons, and then all of the controls for the sunroof and that rear window. Sunshade is manual for this truck. And then here's a look at visibility, where it's going to be fairly similar like I mentioned earlier. So with the exteriors and interiors wrapped up for both of these full-size trucks, let's get them both out on the road, see how they drive. So let's start off behind the wheel for the GMC in sport mode, second gear. Here we go. And definitely sounds good. Paddles are somewhat responsive. It's not a sports car, but they are there. They're functional for towing and if you need to take this off the pavement. But this is a really nice truck to drive, super comfortable. You have a lot of nice materials for the pricing of this truck as well. It's very luxury focused. Everything is laid out extremely well too. And you even have the massaging seat. I didn't mention that earlier, but there is a control on the side, so that way you can turn that on and off. But a nice place to be. Visibility is really good. The Multimatic suspension really gives this truck a great feel. So this is going to be beneficial for rougher terrain, but on smooth pavement like this, it's also beneficial just to give you more of a refined feel. Bridge bumps and things like that, you're really not going to feel any of those. So it's a really nice forgiving suspension. And obviously you sit high up, you have a lot of headroom here, so you can be over 6 feet tall and still fit comfortably. And you have a lot of space for all of your passengers. So it's a really nice full-size truck that has a lot of capabilities, and for the pricing, I think all the tech and all the features is definitely justifiable for it. So let's hop into the TRD Pro now and see the differences. And behind the wheel now for the TRD Pro in sport mode, second gear, here we go. As you would expect, this has a lot more torque than the GMC. So this feels a lot quicker to get up to speed. But just like the GMC, you sit high up in this truck, and with the TRD tuned suspension for this, it seems to ride very nice. Now, I wouldn't say quite as soft as that Multimatic suspension, but it does take bumps very well, and it will give you a nice ride for this truck. You sit up very high for this as well. You do have some plastic materials as well. So like I've already talked about, the GMC is going to be a lot more luxury focused. but you have a little bit more of a simple design with all the tech features, so not quite as much to go through, but it gives you what you need to drive it every day. So it's a really simplistic design, but it's functional as well. And as you would expect for another full-size truck, this will give you plenty of space for all of your passengers. You can tow, you have the cargo space, and you do have the hybrid. So if you're not looking for a hybrid, the TRD Pro only comes with this engine option. But of course you have non-hybrid models if you go with lower trim levels. So if you're not looking for that hybrid system, which I think is really cool technology to see, you might be drawn towards a different brand. But it's still a sweet truck. I bought a Tacoma hybrid and I don't have any complaints. I think it's a really nice powertrain. Gives you a lot of power for the smaller displacement. And as you expect with full-size trucks, you have a little bit wider of a turning radius for both of them, but still easy to drive and maneuver. And so back from our quick test drives now with the TRD Pro and the AT4X. Again, you can take a look at the full detailed reviews for a little bit more driving impressions. I have been driving the TRD Pro for the last week. I do have some experience with the Sierra. We have had those for a week at a time as well. Honestly, these are two very nice trucks. I will say with the GMC, you have a lot more luxury features. So if you're looking for a little bit extra in the materials and just the feel, this is a great option to go with. There's nothing wrong with the interior on the TRD Pro. It's just not quite up to the GMC, which is basically a luxury focused truck, if you want to call it that. For the Toyota, even for its pricing, it has a nice interior to it. A little bit more basic, I would say, but both of these drive very nice. They have towing capabilities, the off-roading features, which you may not be taking these full-size trucks off the pavement, but if you're taking them to a job site or you're off the pavement like this and you just need that tack features, it is nice that both of them are equipped with that. So comment down below, which model would you rather take? We have the AT4 or the AT4X, and right in the middle is the TRD Pro. So comment down below, let me know your thoughts. Personally, I am a Toyota guy, but just the luxury features for the GMC, it's hard to beat, especially when it's a similar price as the Toyota. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, give it a huge thumbs up and consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.